Welcome to MEREDA's 2024 Forecast Conference and the 20th Annual Member Showcase. I'm Shelley Clark. I'm the Executive Director of MEREDA. It's great to be with you all today and back at the refreshed Holiday Inn by the Bay. And doesn't the ballroom look wonderful? And I love these lights. It's amazing. So we're really happy and a lot warmer to be back here at the Holiday Inn. I'm grateful for how engaged and supportive our members remain, and that you are joining this year for the Forecast Conference and the Member Showcase downstairs. For 38 years, MEREDA's mission has been to promote an environment for responsible development and ownership of real estate throughout the state of Maine. We accomplish our mission through advocacy, education, and networking. I want to take a moment to thank all of MEREDA's members for finding value in what we do and for participating in this important and special group. In particular, I'd like to recognize those members who have stepped up to the table in big ways as cornerstone and sustainer level members. To our members at the cornerstone level, thank you. We could not do this without you. Your participation is foundational for MEREDA and why we've been able to do this important work for 38 years. So thank you to TD Bank, the Bolus Company, and J.B. Brown & Sons. And to our members at the sustainer level, thank you. This level of support helps to ensure that MEREDA continues to grow and connect with new members. As you can see, there's a lot of them, so I'm going to read through them and give everyone their recognition. AAA Energy Service Company, Androscoggin Bank, Atlantic Federal Credit Union, Atlantic National Trust, Baker Newman Noyes, Bangor Savings Bank, Bar Harbor Bank and Trust, Barry Dunn, Camden National Bank, Consigli Construction, Seaport Credit Union, Drummond Woodsum, East Brown Cow, Eaton Peabody, Epstein Commercial Real Estate, Evergreen Building Company, Gorham Savings Bank, Knickerbocker Group, M&T Bank, Machias Savings Bank, Malone Commercial Brokers, Mascoma Bank, NBT Bank, Norway Savings Bank, Oak Point Associates, Optimum Construction, Pierce Atwood, Saco and Biddeford Savings, Sebago Technics, Turner Construction, United Insurance, and Wipfli. Thank all of you. Let's have a round of applause for these important members. Next, I have the always ever important announcement for those of you that need continuing education credits. If you've not signed in yet, please go to the registration table now. You must complete the pink sign-in sheet with your signature and your license number in order to be eligible for credits. You have to sign in by 10 a.m., which we're a little off, so go do it now. The Maine Real Estate Commission also requires you to sign out at the registration table at the end of the conference to receive your credits. Failure to include your information on this sheet may result in the forfeiture of credits. In order to receive your credits, you must document your full attendance by signing in now and then signing out at 4 o'clock at the end of the session. Again, at the registration table. The course has been approved for 4 hours of broker, architect, and appraiser continuing education credits and 1 hour of legal credits. And also, I am required by the Maine Real Estate Commission to read you this statement. This program has been approved by the Director of the Real Estate Commission for 4 clock hours towards fulfillment of the educational requirements for activation or renewal of a real estate license. The Commission is interested in the quality and delivery of educational programs which are offered to licensees and therefore welcomes and encourages comments regarding program subject matter and quality and delivery of the program. Now it is my pleasure to welcome MEREDA's President, Craig Young, to the stage. Craig is a partner and a broker at the Bolus Company. He joined the company in 1987 and is known for his supportive approach that guides clients through even the most complex real estate deals. Craig joined the MEREDA Board of Directors in 2015, becoming a vice president in 2020, as well as co-chair of our conference committee. He was selected to receive MEREDA's Volunteer of the Year Award for his work in 2021. And his leadership was especially appreciated as we navigated the pandemic. So, Craig, if you would come to the stage.
Well, thank you, Shelley, and great to see so many people here. And welcome to the 2024 Forecast Conference. I love this event. Provides our members with so many opportunities to connect with our colleagues, the people who are driving responsible development in our state. We connect with ideas about innovation, finance, regional outlooks, industry outlook, future development projects, and what's going on and what's not working. There are challenges and opportunities in the marketplace. We'll discover some of those today. MEREDA's Forecast Conference is where we connect with what's happening in Maine's real estate economy today and in the future. And I'm going to quickly go off script and just say, greatly renovated here. I think it's great, new lighting and all that. But we can now accommodate something like 860 people are here today. So it's one of the biggest conferences we've had, certainly since the pandemic. So it's great to have so many people here. Also, it's Leap Day, which is an unusual day for having an event. Just by happenstance, anyone having a birthday today? I saw it in the paper. Yes? Oh, nice. Well, welcome, and thank you all for showing up today. We really do appreciate it. We love the conversations that are happening at our event, which inspired us to create MEREDA Matters podcast. I call it my little baby. I hope you've had a chance to listen. We've had some amazing guests come in and talk about important issues in our industry, including Kevin French of Landry French, Josh Miranda of the Miranda Group, and last month, Rebecca Hatfield of Avesta Housing and Ed Gardner of Gardner Real Estate. And next month, we've done an edited rebroadcast of our Housing the Unhoused breakfast that we did a couple of weeks ago. So please check it out. There's a lot of great stuff there from the guys at Boyne. And there's Ed. Hey, Ed. So check it out. We've really enjoyed doing it. So what lies ahead in our industry in 2024 and beyond? The Forecast Conference is here to give you insight. We have some incredible speakers lined up for today. Dr. Habib Dagher from the University of Maine will provide remarks on innovating Maine's future. We'll hear from an economist overview, James Marple, who is the senior economist for TD Bank. And then we'll learn about the legislative updates from Elizabeth Frazier from Pierce Atwood. All great information and speakers. And this year, we have a whole new afternoon format and programming that will give us all an opportunity to go deeper into some of these important topics. Like always, you'll hear from our industry experts, but our afternoon sessions will now include a forum for some other discussions. I'm really excited with this new format. You'll have, I think all of you have signed up for various people you want to see. These curtains will close. This one room will turn into 3. Come in through the back door. That'll be great. I'm being assisted with Shannon Richards and Josh Soley for setting that up. Thank you both for all your work on this. I'd also like to thank Shelley and Paula Mahoney and her crew at Words at Work, Jen and Eloise. They really did the lion's share of the work here today and make the rest of us look as good as we can. So thank you all for all you do. You'll be able to see the afternoon schedule on the screen here and access the agenda by scanning the QR codes that's in the program. If you need a reminder what session you're supposed to go to, simply take a look at the back of your name tag where you'll find your session listed. Before we dive in, I would like to take some time to thank all of our MEREDA members for finding value in what we do. I love that we have members who step up for MEREDA to lend their voices to our committees and show up for events like today. As I've said before, this kind of robust participation is the key to MEREDA's longevity and why MEREDA is an essential part of Maine's real estate development industry. And I learned from Shelley, this Forecast Conference has been going on for more than 30 years. In the showcase, this is its 20-year anniversary, so great longevity there. A special thank you to all the members who have made today's Forecast Conference possible. And as Shelley mentioned earlier, our gold sponsor today is TD Bank. Our silver sponsors are Landry French Construction, Perkins Thompson, The Downs, which is managed by Maine Properties, Maine Biz, and Ready Capital. Our bronze sponsors include Bar Harbor Bank and Trust, Sebago Technics, the City of Bangor, St. Germain, Belfour Property Restoration, Pierce Atwood, and United Insurance. Please join me in thanking all of these sponsors. Sponsoring a MEREDA event is a great way to get in front of hundreds of MEREDA members and to support our mission of promoting responsible development in the state. There are lots of ways to get involved. as a sponsor. Please see Shelley if you'd like more information on that. Also, if you haven't had a chance to visit our membership showcase yet, you'll have another opportunity at our lunch break and at the end of the conference. As I said earlier, this year we celebrate our 20th year of the showcase, which is a testament to the vibrant network and the business community that MEREDA's membership has. The showcase is another great place to connect with people today. Plus, we have some exciting raffles from our showcase exhibitors. Shelley will announce those this afternoon at the end of the event around 4:30. After the conference, we'll have our happy hour, and as usual, MEREDA is buying the first round. You can get your drink ticket when you head downstairs at the end of the program. We have a great day ahead of us. Please share your thoughts and comments with us online. You can tag us with MEREDA 2024 on Facebook and Twitter, and we are at MEREDA2. For those who do all those things, I do not. So let's get this conference started. To kick things off for us, I'd like to invite Ben Brennan up to the stage to introduce our first speaker. Ben is a senior sales executive and project manager for Kone Elevator and Escalator. He participates on the MEREDA Board of Directors and is chair of the Local Issues Committee. And he's also a new dad of a youngster. As a student at UMO, Ben had the opportunity to work with Dr. Dagger at the Advanced Structures and Composite Center. So we had asked Ben if he'd come up and do the introduction. Ben.
Thank you, Craig. Good morning. As Craig mentioned, my name is Ben Brennan, and I am a senior sales executive and project manager for Kone Elevators. I'm also a proud alum of the University of Maine, where I had the unique opportunity to learn from and work for Dr. Habib Dagher, our keynote speaker. So it is my honor to introduce Dr. Habib Dagher, a truly innovative thinker and an incredible leader. Dr. Dagher is the founding executive director of the Advanced Structures and Composite Center at the University of Maine in Orono. The center is the largest university-based research center in the state and among the fastest growing research laboratories in the world. Dr. Dagher and his colleagues are dedicated to driving research innovation in green energy and materials to create a more sustainable world while bolstering economic development in Maine and beyond. From affordable housing crisis to climate change, Maine faces challenges that will require new ideas or new ways of thinking. Dr. Dagher's work is on the front lines of these exciting opportunities for Maine's future, on the front lines of these issues, and which we will create opportunities for Maine's future across numerous industries. I'm guessing many of you have heard of UMaine's 3D printed house unveiled in 2022. That was Dr. Dagher and his team at the Advanced Structures and Composite Center. He holds multiple patents and is working on innovative solutions in areas ranging from infrastructure, 3D printing, renewable energy, to commercial building products like mass timber. Everyone in this room cares about Maine's future, and this is a wonderful opportunity to learn about what's possible for responsible development and more from one of the leading thinkers in our state. So if you would please help me welcome Dr. Habib Dagher.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Ben. This is very nice of you. I just got to tell you a small story. I got a call from MEREDA saying, would you mind being the backup speaker if the governor can't make it? So I'm very pleased to be your backup speaker this morning. It's really a great pleasure, and I'm going to talk about the Advanced Structures and Composite Center. Go to the next slide here. The Advanced Structure and Composite Center was set up close to 27 years ago to go ahead and help Maine add value to its largest natural resources. And the largest natural resources we have, as you know, is our forests and our ocean. How do we add value to them and protect them is what we're trying to do in our center, and educate the leaders who will take these technologies and implement them in society. So this is our lab, research lab, and 27 years ago it didn't exist. And we've been growing it, and we're about to add another edition called the Factory of the Future to learn how to scale up 3D printed homes, and that will be happening here in August. So we've sponsored financially over 2,700 students from 35 different academic departments on campus to help innovate. And the young minds are the best innovators. That's what I've learned over a long time. Because they're not really looking at what can't be done. They're trying to figure out what can be done. They won't tell you, we tried this. They try this. So it's a great way to bring the new generation to create new innovations. So these are our partners and clients from across the globe. So we have over 500 partners and clients, and that started in one dot in Orono, Maine, back in 1996. So we've grown quite a bit. So we're truly an international research center right in our backyard here in Maine. The center has received some of the top national and international awards for the research that we've done, and I'm very proud of the team. So I'll explain a couple of them. The Maine Transportation Achievement Award was received here just a couple of years ago. The American Council of Engineering Companies gave us a National Engineering Excellence Award. We're invited to the White House because of the work we've done in civil infrastructure and bridges, the bridge in a backpack technology, and we call it Champions for Change. And then the Engineering News Record called us one of the top 25 newsmakers in the world in engineering. So it's pleased to be in your backyard. So what do we work on? So we put together a strategic plan in 2020. We call it GEM, and that stands for Green Energy and Materials. So our mission is to bring green energy and green materials to society and educate the leaders who will take these technologies and implement them in society. And we work through civil infrastructure, renewable energy, and you can see as well we work with defense and marine and aerospace industries. And any of us who saw the last two major storms on the coast of Maine know what challenges we are all facing. This is an example of one of the projects we partnered with the Maine Department of Transportation on, the Penobscot-Narrows Bridge. Many of you don't know that, but some of the strands on that bridge that hold it up are made with carbon fiber composites. A lot lighter than steel, they don't corrode, and they'll last a lot longer. So can we build bridges that are more sustainable and will serve society for a longer period of time? Another technology that we've worked on is a lighter composite girder technology. This is a girder that weighs 1/3 to 1/4 the weight of a steel girder, and it doesn't corrode. And it will last a lot longer with very little maintenance. That's a bridge we built in Hamden, Maine, using this technology. And notice that the girders are so light, the contractor picked up 2 at a time. And the whole girder, the bridge, was actually put up in less than half a day, the superstructure of the bridge. And the bridge is designed so that the bridge deck can be removed. How many of you have driven over a bridge deck where we're jackhammering the concrete deck? Right? And what happens? It goes on forever, right? And then why do we jackhammer a concrete deck? Because we don't have a connection to take it out. So basically, we've got steel shear studs that bond the concrete girder to the concrete deck to the girder. So all you had to do is have a bolted connection. So in 50 years, if our children and grandchildren have to remove the concrete deck, they can unbolt it, pick it up. We don't have to jackhammer it. These are examples of simple technologies that people don't think about, but we've implemented in this case. One of our bridge technology is called the bridge in a backpack technology that we've developed as well, resulted in a call one day from NASA. Now, this is an arch technology, inflatable arch, to build bridges on site very quickly. And NASA called us one day and says, you can help us put people on Mars. And I said, how so? And they said, well, we need to slow down the spacecraft. And the spacecraft that will put people on Mars weighs about 40 tons and travels at hypersonic speeds. You can't just pull a parachute on it and land it because you're going to tear up the parachute. So you got to slow it down. So what you see here is an inflatable braking system that we've developed working with NASA that will slow down the spacecraft enough to eventually pull a parachute and land it. And that's been developed here at the University of Maine, and our students have been traveling back and forth to NASA working on these technologies. So a lot of cool things are happening in Maine. This is filled with nitrogen, and it's made with composite tubes that inflate and are strapped together from the nose cone of the spacecraft. Another technology we've worked on is better boats made out of composite materials. How many of you know about the U.S. Navy SEALs Mark V boat? Some of you have seen that. That's an 83-foot-long high-speed interceptor that goes near 50 knots and travels to catch the bad people, essentially, very, very quickly. Watch out, the pirates here in off the African coast, right? That's what we send these vessels after them. But this vessel is made out of aluminum today. And because it's made out of aluminum, when you're traveling at high speed, think about you're going 50 knots and you've got 3 or 4 foot waves. The wave slamming forces on the hull were causing shock loading, and the seals were getting shattered molars under shock and damaged bones in the back. So we partnered with a company in Maine called Hodgson Yachts, right in Boothbay Harbor, and we redesigned this hull using a shock-absorbing composite. It's like a Nike Air shoe, essentially, on the hull. So the hull is a sandwich structure and absorbs the impacts of the waves in the hull itself and transmits less of it to the occupants of the boat. So the Navy liked so much our ideas, they gave us the plan to build one. Here it is, and I'll show it to you. It was tested for the first time off Boothbay Harbor, and you're going to watch this boat. It's going at 50 knots, and one of its criteria is spin around at 50 knots and go the other way. Okay, so here it is. Let's see if I can get it going. So this boat is going at 50 knots and spinning at that speed. Okay, don't try this at home, please. Okay. I know some of you might have already tried this, but the other big problem we're working on is our energy issues. As you know, importing fossil fuels is happening, and I'm not sure how long we're going to keep doing that, but we are doing that. The state of Maine spends close between 3.6 and $5.8 billion a year importing fossil fuels. And all of that comes from outside the state of Maine. And we burn it here, and we know what effect that has on climate change and our global climates. You remember about 15 years ago when we were paying $4 a gallon for gasoline and heating oil? You remember those days? And that was close to $7 a gallon today if you look at the inflationary cost of that. Think about that. So there was a big crisis in Maine, and Governor Baldacci at the time came to the lab and says, what do we do now? There's not enough LIHEAP money to keep people's home heated and so forth. So we identified offshore wind as a huge opportunity for the state of Maine. We're very energy rich. So off the coast of Maine, we have 156 gigawatts of offshore wind capacity. What is that? Do you all remember how big Maine Yankee used to be? Maine Yankee used to be about 0.8 gigawatts as a nuclear power plant. We have 156 gigawatts just blowing off of our coast. That's 156 Maine Yankees, okay? And we haven't done anything to go get it out there, but we have deep waters off of our coast. So how do you get this energy back home and reduce our energy costs? Well, it just so turns out that you have to use floating wind turbines. Turbines that can float and then put them beyond the horizon so they can bring the energy back to shore. We proposed this idea 15 years ago, and people actually question our sanity. I'd like to say that, I'd like to be pleased to tell you that a year and a half ago, the US government declared floating wind as the 5th US Earthshot as a key technology to meet our climate goals and our energy goals. So we've gone from the Mavericks to being the US Earthshot. So there's an international race to do that right now. Just to give you a sense, within 50 miles of the US coast, there's enough offshore wind capacity to power the country 4 times over, within 50 miles of the US coast. So what does it take to give you a sense of how much energy we have off of our coast? If we just harness 3% of the surface area of the Gulf of Maine, we can heat every home and drive every car. We only need 3% of the surface area of the Gulf of Maine, and within 50 miles. And the question is, which 3% do we pick, right? And can we all agree on which 3% we can pick? You thought that was a simple question, right? It isn't. But anyway, so we need about 5 gigawatts of energy to heat every home and drive every car. Of course, we're not going to do it all with offshore wind. We need to look at multiple sources, but offshore wind could be an important part of that going into the future. So this is the US map of the United States showing you in dark blue the areas where the water is really deep, and in light blue when the water is shallow, less than 150 feet. And notice off the coast of Maine, we have dark blue waters, so very deep waters. So you can't put a turbine up in the water because the water's too deep, so you need to float it. So, and you look at the west coast of the US, it's all dark waters as well. So how do you design and build floating turbines? So this is what we can do in our lab. This is actually a 100 and about 65-foot blade being tested in our laboratory to make sure it's going to hold up 25 to 30 years offshore. These are the kinds of things we could do in our lab. This is a wave wind basin we built to recreate wind and wave storms. Think about the state of Maine being a coastal state. We've never had an ocean engineering lab. Can you believe that? So about 10 years ago, we decided to change that, but not just build any ocean engineering lab. We built a lab that creates windstorms and wave storms at the same time and tests new technologies, whether it's boat building or protecting our coastal infrastructure or offshore wind. To show you what it looks like, this is what we could do. I must say, it's one of the hardest things in this laboratory is not the science, but keeping the students out of the lab at night. Okay, but you've got essentially a wind tunnel, open jet wind tunnel, and a wave basin. You can create waves coming from different directions, at different frequencies, and test offshore structures that float in the water to make sure they're going to hold up in that environment. So what does a floating turbine look like? This is what it looks like. Okay, and essentially you have a hull, like a boat that floats up a turbine on top of it. It holds up a turbine. There's a mast that holds up a turbine. Now, these are not very small, very big, or they're very big, and I'm going to show you, can you find the school bus in this picture? There's a school bus right there. Okay, so these are not tiny things. And then the turbines, right now that exist today are 15 megawatt turbines. Each turbine can produce enough energy for 7,000 to 10,000 US homes. That gives you a sense of how much we could do. So these turbines would be fabricated dockside and then towed out to sea and moored to the seabed beyond the horizon where people don't see them. Okay, that's what we hope to do. And they're moored to the seabed using mooring lines and anchors. So here's the first floating turbine ever built in the United States. It was built in our lab, and it was launched about 11 years ago of Brewer, Maine. And you could see a 1:8 scale version. That's not the full-size version. And that's not tiny, right? That's a 1:8 scale version. It was built and put in the Penobscot River. And we towed it down the Penobscot River all the way to Castine. Anybody from Castine here? Okay. And we left it in there for about a year and a half off Dice's Head in Castine. Notice how you can tow it out to sea. We had pre-installed mooring lines and pre-installed undersea cable to shore. When we got to its position in Castine, we hooked it up to the mooring lines, and then we hooked it up to the electrical cable. And this is what it looked like off Dice's Head in Castine. And when we wanted to take it out a year and a half ago, people from Castine came back and said, "Why are you taking it out? This is the best place for tourists to go. All the tourists want to go and see the floating turbines." So it became a tourist attraction. But here's what it looked like on its first storm. This is a 50-year return period storm off the coast of Maine. And let's see if it's going to run. It's so stormy in there, we don't see anything. Okay, let's try again. Here we go. So this was called Winter Storm Electra, and it happened on December 15th, 2013. And what you see blowing across are not clouds either. This is snow going across. And you can see the floating turbine. You can see the waves, the white caps around it. Can you see the turbine move at all? Only the rotor is moving, right? So that's what we're trying to design, a very stable system that will hold up in 500-year storms and so forth. That's what it looked like in a 50-year storm. So that was a very successful program that the Department of Energy gave us the money to build the bigger one, and we're working on that right now as we speak. Yeah, thank you. And the other question is how do you moor it to the seabed? Well, you could use steel chains, and they're not tiny. You could see what the steel chains look like. Or you can use synthetic mooring lines, and that's what we're working on. We're focused on synthetic mooring lines. You can see here how big it is. And if you're concerned about whales being entangled in these, no. This is bigger than a telephone pole, each line, and they're tensioned at thousands of tons of tension. So this is like a big telephone pole. And it's not going to be an issue with whales in this case. So what's the plan for offshore wind in Maine? So this year, we plan to put another turbine off Castine, and it's going to be about 10 times the capacity of the one we did 11 years ago. In 26, we're going to put a turbine off Monhegan Island, and then 29, 2030, The state plans to put a research array of 10 of these turbines, and then eventually in the 2030s, there'll be commercial development. So it's a crawl before you walk, walk before you run approach, not only to develop the technology, but also to make sure the environmental, ecological, and fishing impacts are addressed as we move forward. And I'd like to I'm pleased to say that last week, Governor Mills made an announcement. She picked a port in Maine location to actually go ahead and do this, be able to build these hulls. Essentially, the port is like a shipyard. You need a shipyard to build these things. And she picked a site for that last week. And last summer, the legislature signed into law a procurement plan to procure 3,000 megawatt of floating offshore wind for the state of Maine by 2040. So we're off on our way, going from a research idea in the lab to implementing it in our society. So we're going to be more pleased to be partnering with all of you to make this happen. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about today is additive manufacturing. So basically 3D printing. How many of you have used a 3D printer on top of your desk? Okay. Sounds good. Well, we're not talking about a tiny printer in this case, and this is the size of the printer. I want to show you the first thing we did with this printer. And because Maine is a boat building state, we asked ourselves, is it feasible to print a boat? So we looked at a 25-foot vessel that's 5,000 pounds, marine patrol vessel, and we printed that in a little over a weekend. We started on a Thursday night and finished on Sunday night. It doesn't go that fast, by the way. This is accelerated. It took about close to about 3 days to do that, and the whole thing was printed in one piece. And it is feasible to do so. And this summer, or this year, we plan to put a 50-foot vessel in the Gulf of Maine for the first time to have people on it, and to prove to have people on a 3D printed vessel. That will occur here in Maine for the first time in world history. So we're looking for, and I'd like to show you that in our laboratory we have some very important cargo in a 3D printed boat. And I'd like to tell you this quick story because it's really funny. Senator King came to the lab and said, Professor Dagger, I heard that you're going to put us in a 3D printed boat in a wave wind basin. Is that true? And he was very serious. And I said, only if you want to, Senator. And then he goes, is Susan Collins going to get into the boat? And I said, I don't know, sir, but we can ask her. As I was saying that, Senator Collins walks in. And then he didn't say, good morning, how are you? He said, Senator Collins, are you going to go in that 3D printed boat in a wave wind basin? And she, with a big smile on her face, she says, of course, look at the boots I put on, I can't wait. Then he looked at me, he says, okay, I'll do it then. So here they are, they both ended up in the boat. So the big thing I'd like to talk about is the opportunity to use our forests, particularly the waste wood in our forests, to 3D printed homes. And that's my last piece here today. As you know, many pulp and paper mills shut down in the state of Maine. 5 of them shut down near 1 year. In 1 year. So all that wood that used to go to the pulp and paper mills now is the residual wood that doesn't have a lot of home for it. So these are the sawmills in the state of Maine. And when you go to a sawmill, you saw the log, and the pieces that don't make the grade used to end up going to the pulp and paper mills. How much of that do we have in Maine? About 1 million tons per year. Per year, 1 million tons of that waste material. Okay? So as you know, home prices are high. And why are they high? Well, material costs have gone up since the pandemic, but also we don't have the labor force in Maine to produce them. Even if we wanted to, we had the money to build all the homes, we don't really have the people to build them all right now. And so I get a call one day from Mark from the Maine State Housing. Mark, are you there? Can you all stand up, Mark? Because this gentleman is the reason we did this. So Mark, so he said, can you 3D print a home? For us, and so because we don't have the labor to do it. So we asked ourselves, can we use wood waste to 3D print homes, and how would you do that? So what we did is we took the wood waste from the sawmills, ground it up into a flour. You could see the flour here down in the bucket, and it looks like a whole wheat flour, but it isn't. It's essentially wood, and then we combine it with a resin. It's a polymer bio-based resin to make pellets, just like the wood pellets you put in your stove, but they have a resin and the wood in them. And then what we could do with them, and we can heat them and melt them and put them through a 3D printer. And that's what we try to do. As we printed this home, what we did is we printed that. Oh, this is the house. We're going to go walk through it a little bit. You can see what the walls look like. They look brown because we printed it with wood, essentially. And we have, in some places, we put drywall in. It's very easy to put drywall if you wanted to. Notice this has drywall in it as well as the wood as printed. And this house was printed in 3 modules. We use electrical heat pumps to heat it, 2 small heat pumps. You can see the walls, how they're curved into the roof here to give you some really interesting architecture. Architectural Digest loved it and had a lot of stories on it. We have over 50 million views of this on this house across the country and the world, a lot of interest in it. And just about everybody who walks into it says, when can I buy one? So the question is, when can you buy one and how much does it cost? These are some of the questions that people ask. But I want to show you how we printed that. And it's this video right here. So it was printed in 3 pieces, and think of it as modular prefabricated 3D printed homes. So basically, it's a modular construction where you would print modules and outfit them. And here's one of the modules being produced. Notice we're printing cavities in the walls. We're printing the roof trusses. The wall trusses go into the roof, become a roof truss. And this is one of the wall modules that we printed, one of the house modules. We did 3 modules, and we put in wood insulation in them. And electrical wiring in each module. And then we picked them up and put them on a flatbed truck and placed them outside our lab on an existing foundation. It took about half a day to bolt the modules together at the site. And 2 hours later, one electrician, we had electricity running in it. Okay? And that's the first time we've done this. So if we can really scale that up, you can see we can get a lot faster. So we're designing and building what we call the factory of the future. You can see it right there. We're going to break ground this August in it. And we're working with Consigli. Is anyone from Consigli here? And SMRT? Anybody from SMRT here? Yeah. And they're working with us to build this facility and to scale up the technology so we can produce it a lot faster. When we produced this home, we produced it at 120 pounds per hour of deposition rate. A couple of months ago, we hit 500 pounds per hour of deposition rate. This weighs 40,000 pounds. So let's do the math. If you can actually print it at 1,000 pounds an hour, and you need 40,000 pounds of material, what do you need? 40 hours. So can we really do a house every 2 days, print it every 2 days? That's the question. Of course, you still have to finish the house. You still have to put the kitchens in. You still have to put electrical and wiring in. But can we do that automatically? Can we actually put the wiring in as we're printing the home? Can we put some of the plumbing in as we're printing the home? These are the things that we're looking at with the factory of the future. So that's a bit of what we're doing here. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to summarize that this is really not a technology that's going to take away traditional construction. No, not at all. This is an opportunity to add more housing stock so we can put roofs over people's homes. Okay, as you know, we can't produce these homes fast enough. We need 80,000 homes in Maine by 2030. We don't have the workforce and the people to build them. So think of this as one of solution to try to get more housing stock over people's heads. That's one of the solutions. It's not going to take over the world. It's just one of the tools that we're going to have to move things ahead. And hopefully we'll have a company in Maine to commercialize this, and we're working, there's a lot of interest to commercialize this and be able to produce these homes in high volumes here in the state of Maine. So that's a bit of the vision of where we're heading. So with this in mind, let me summarize a bit. We work at the University of Maine. We have over 400 people in our lab. And our vision and our mission is to bring green energy and materials to society. I've showed you some technology on offshore wind energy and how to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and create thousands of jobs in Maine to build this infrastructure and bring the energy back home. And I want you to remember one thing. Well, how much of the Gulf of Maine surface area within 50 miles does it take to heat every home and drive every car in Maine? 3%. 3%. Do you think we can find which 3% we can all agree on? We're working on it, right? So thank you very much. It's great to be with you. So. Thank you very much.
How fascinating was that? This guy is amazing. And on behalf of everyone here, thank you. You are truly, a gift to this state in the work you're doing, and obviously to NASA and all these other things. So I learned this, he probably wouldn't want me to say this, but he has over 80 patents already. And I bet collectively we don't have 80 amongst us. So really, thank you for all the great work you do. It's awesome.